I think there are a lot of military companies out there. Like there's 1,001 BroVet companies that are trying to BroVet harder than everyone else.
Yeah.
I put it this way. We are not a military company. We are a lower enlisted company. Okay. And there's a big difference there. Like we want to tap into the people who are showing up to work a little hungover and live off of monsters and tornadoes and maybe have too many fat girls in their time at the bar off base.
Okay.
Like there's not a lot of companies that are speaking to those people. And that's a big part of any military branch.
This episode is sponsored by Remedical. Hey, veterans. Ever feel like navigating the VA disability claims process is like trying to march in quicksand? I don't know how much you know about quicksand. It's not great to march through. Well, here's some good news. Remedical, that's Romeo Echo Echo Medical, is here to support you as you march right out of that mess, and you can keep moving forward. Whether it's a first-time claim or an increase in your existing status, Remedical connects you with independent providers who can document your symptoms with the precision of a sniper. Only Carlos Hathcock is a better sniper than them. They provide the accurate and thorough medical evidence you need to support your VA claim. With a network of experienced physicians, Remedical has helped over 75,000 veterans. Can you believe that, Blas? 75,000 veterans.
That's a big number.
That's a big number, but we're going to blow right past it. They'll explain all your options before you even think about paying anything. No more mystery, just clarity and competence. At the After Action podcast, we're not just fans of Remedical, we're customers too. Blas, what's it like working with Remedical?
Listen, Zach, I'm not going to lie. When you presented the option of going to Remedical, I was super skeptical, man. I was already done with the VA process. They threw me through the ringer, had me waiting for who knows how long. Anywhere from 6 to 12 months is what I experienced. I know there are veterans out there who have probably experienced a lot longer. When you had mentioned Remedical, like I said, I was skeptical. I gave them a call, though. Like you said, free consultation. I had nothing left to lose. I picked up the phone, gave them a call, told them exactly what I was going through and the troubles that I was experiencing. They said, no problem. Just send us over your medical records. We'll take a look at them. And if we can help you, we'll reach back out. Not even 24 hours later, I got a phone call telling me that my ratings were not sufficient to what the standard actually was, and that if I wanted to move forward, they'd be glad to help me. Almost 12 months later, I finally got my rating back from the VA, where I couldn't be more happy with the results. If you're out there and you're struggling and you're sick of running through the VA process and you're tired of getting to run around, go to Remedical. I promise you they'll help you and they'll guide you through the process with no pressure and get you the rating you deserve.
I couldn't think of a better personal endorsement than that right there. I got to watch him go through the process myself, and it has been a life-changing outcome for him and his family. Don't settle for frustration or unfavorable decisions. Check out the link in the description for a free consultation and $200 off Remedical services. It's time to get what you deserve. And welcome to another edition of the After Action podcast. I am joined today by the man, myth, legend, the king himself of Stiff Lip Supplements, which you can find at stifflipsupps.com.
That's it.
Mr. John Minelli, how are you?
Doing well, sir. Thank you for having me on. And I think I'm going to start off this podcast with a not planned at all Stiff Lip Supps dip.
Yeah.
That you can get on stifflipsupps.com.
And we're going to try them. So I'm... All right,
one of those.
Blas, what do you want? You want cherry, blueberry, or what's this one?
So I would recommend
Fruity Flex.
It's designed around White Monster.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So if you drink a lot of those, I think you'll like it.
I think I'm gonna do blueberry.
It's my favorite flavor.
I think I'm gonna
honestly.
do blueberry. So we got blueberry stuff, cherry popper, and what's that one? Fruity Flex.
Fruity Flex.
Perfect. A dippable pre-workout.
That's this.
It's the first time. Jump cut. So what made you join the military? Like we're all just like screaming at each other.
Out.
Bah, 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 bah. Oh, here we go. Babe, it's caffeine. Don't yell at me.
No nicotine, no tobacco.
It was like Mama used to make.
Other cool part too, you can swallow the juices. You get the caffeine through your mucous membranes, and then it will taste sweet in a moment if it's not already.
I've been saying that for years.
Uh-huh.
So here's the thing. What? There we go. No, this is great. Oh, wow. That really is good.
Yeah, man. That's us.
So initial thoughts. Now, I've had this before, and you sent this to me, and I really, really like him. A guy at my gym,
Performance.
But he's a legacy guy. His name's escaping me right now. He was telling me how much he loved this.
Caleb? Big guy?
Happy to hear it,
Not
man.
Caleb, the guy who runs with Mark. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah.
That's upsetting. But he loved these, and he's like always coaching these kids, and like Bryce Bile.
Okay.
And he was like, dude, I showed up and he's like, are you dipping before you work out? And I was like, no, dude, I got these like pre-workout things. He's like, could I have some? And then like jump cut, I see him like screaming at the kids, be like, run.
All caffeinated out. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Cool. Dude, this was an idea that I had in my head 4 years ago, and to see what it has turned into is just, I have to pinch myself every once in a while.
You have to pinch yourself when you take a pinch. I tell you what I like about it. I like that it tastes like the flavor. It's not like a candle situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like candles are like, this is autumn, summertime. And you're like, what is that? What does that even smell like?
I got a little bit of a Fruit Loops taste to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People compare it to a Jolly Rancher a lot.
Well, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for being here.
No, of course. Thank you.
Honor and privilege to have you here. But before you were taking over the supplement industry, look out, supplement companies.
Sure.
Where do you come from? What do you do? Tell me about you.
So for those that may not know who I am, which is probably a lot of you, my name is John Minelli, and I am the president and founder of Stiff Lip Supplements. We make the dippable pre-workout we've been talking about. And I started, like, to bring it all the way back. Like, I was in the Air Force.
Before that?
Yeah, 8 years ago now, which is, like, crazy to me. But I joined in 2015.
Where are you from?
Chicago, originally.
Chicago. Are you a North Side or South Side guy?
North Sider. So I grew up in Jeff Park originally, and then we moved to Edison Park when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade.
So does that mean you're a Cubs or a Sox guy?
Cubs fan.
Cubs is North.
North Side.
Sox is South. That's really a real thing.
For sure. I have since fallen out of sports, but a lot of people back home, for sure, diehard Northsiders are definitely Cubs fans.
Is it like an issue? Like if you're like in Cubs gear and you go south, people are like, watch
They'll
it.
have the Crosstown Classic every once in a while where the Cubs will play the Sox, and it's a big deal. I don't know. Sports were never really my thing when I was there, but a lot of people would definitely get into it. Wrigleyville is very fun. Been there a couple of times. It's the area that surrounds Wrigley Field. Everybody goes there on the blue line, drinks too many beers, watches a Cubs game.
Really?
Yeah.
That actually sounds kind of fun.
Very Chicago.
Very Chicago. See, all my knowledge of Chicago comes from movies,
Yeah.
Shameless,
Okay.
and The Bear.
The Bear is a phenomenal show.
Is a masterpiece of a show.
It's a love letter to Chicago, is how I like to describe it.
It is. It's incredible. Like friend of mine, Alex, he's a chef, but I'll just like send him bad chefs online to piss him off.
Right.
He does not take it well.
He does not. You want to get him riled up.
Bad
It's
chefs.
a great way.
Like, do you know YMH, Your Mom's House
Yes.
podcast?
Big fan.
Fancy chef.
Okay.
You know the guy who came on there who's like, it's so fancy. The guy who's like, obviously not a real chef. He came in there. He charged them $30,000.
Okay.
And he got them all sick. I'll just send clips of, like, he'll order room service and he'll act like he's plating it. And Alex won Hell's Kitchen, and it drives him insane. But because I'm a demon, I've sent him so many of these clips just slowly over time that now his feed is just populated automatically with these chefs.
Oh, you have hijacked his algorithm.
Yeah, I've hijacked his algorithm.
Right, like a friend should.
Yeah. But it's but no, his only real critique is it's not that hectic in a he's like, it's not that hectic in a kitchen. I was gonna say cafeteria.
I will say this about Chicago though. I made a choice not to put roots down there. The county that it's based in is Cook County.
Yeah.
It is nicknamed Crook County because it is so corrupt and so politically seedy. I didn't want to put business roots down there just because of all the issues, unfortunately, that like a wonderful city like Chicago has been unfortunately more and more ruined from, in my opinion.
No, I mean, I don't know much. I know Cook County is a bad place. I'm pretty sure there's like songs about it in various different genres. But it's just a place that fascinates me. I used to go there a lot for work because like I don't understand putting cheese on the bottom and sauce on top with the pizza. Doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. The deep dish pizza.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. It just seems weird.
So Lou's is cool. I do, every time I go home, I will get Lou Malnati's pizza. It is definitely an acquired taste. It's a pie more than a pizza, I would say.
It is. And I didn't, and, and everybody's like, you got to go here, you got to go there, That's my Chicago accent. I don't really know. I don't know what an accent is there really. But I know that's a thing. What's another?
You're never just in the mood for it? Because we do have a spot here called 312.
Lou's is great. Superdog is great. Gene and Jude's makes a good hot dog too.
Y'all came up with like the dark green relish and the peppers and stuff. Is that the Chicago hot dog?
Chicago dog, it has damn near everything.
That is pretty sick. Have you had one of those?
It's really good.
No.
It's incredible.
No.
What is it? It's got peppers, like bright green relish, mustard, a pickle.
Onions.
I definitely saw it when I went down for, I think it was like 4th of July timeframe, and they did the Taste of Chicago down there.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of vendors.
Yep. It's
bit of
good.
everything.
It's a shit show.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of people.
It's great for a tourist. Probably shitty for a local.
Yeah.
Maybe
Kinda
here
like-
is a place to avoid, in
Yes.
my opinion, but
The same thing for us, Broadway.
Yeah.
We're local. We don't
Yeah.
go to Broadway.
Leave them Broadway girls alone. Yeah. Morgan Wallen said that. Him and an assassin known as Little Dirk. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Crazy. Are you familiar with that?
Little Dirk.
Little Dirk is like, is he a hitman or is trying to hire a hitman or something like that?
He's definitely involved in like,
He's heavily affiliated with gangs.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Likes to sing about it.
likes to talk about it publicly and like on wires apparently. Like he's like,
Not
yes,
a good move.
I love gang. Basically, it's like I love. He was trying to leave the country, and
I love committing crimes.
basically, yeah. It's like me before every patrol I went on.
Right.
I'm gonna do crazy stuff. No, it's just a fascinating place because like in my mind, Chicago holds like so many weird memories that I have no association with, but it's my childhood. Because if I look back, almost every movie from my childhood in Chicago.
Sure.
All those Disney movies were
Ferris
in
Bueller's
Chicago.
Day Off.
Chicago,
Yep.
right? Home Alone's Chicago.
Yep.
Also, Kevin's dad was loaded. He took like a family of 12 to like multiple different Christmas vacations. What was he doing?
I think it was shot near Skokie, if not in Skokie, which is a suburb just outside the city. Yeah.
Heavyweights, I'm pretty sure was filmed.
Oh,
The
great
Matrix
movie.
2.
The Matrix. See, it's. I have like all these weird things. So I think that like I have.
It's a cool city. It's just it breaks my heart to see it turn into what it is.
No, I understand.
Oh.
I think things happen with cities, especially when modernization leaves them behind. I think they don't react the right way.
Yeah.
In the sense of like a lot of industries and stuff that were there, they all left, right? And they've come to the South. Almost everything's come to the South.
I
Y'all,
noticed that.
literally, the number one tourist spot is Nashville, especially from Chicago. They all come from the Midwest on Broadway.
That's exactly how I felt during this past weekend, like in California.
Yeah.
Grew up there, love it, got a special place in my heart. Shit. And especially to see like the way Casey and the kids were reacting to it, and everything out there. They're just like, wow, we love it out here. It's so cool. I was like, yeah, but what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Do you catch people still saying "ope"?
Yeah, they do that. Yeah.
That's a telltale sign.
Ope is a thing. They'll
Ope, gonna sneak right past you.
ope and they'll be hooping and hollering. They're like, "We're from Chicago." I know you're from Chicago. I know.
Very loud about it.
Well, yeah, and you can always tell the tourists too. They have denim skirts, cowboy hats, and cowboy boots.
Wisconsin is another dead giveaway as well.
Yeah, Wisconsin. Yeah. No. What else is Chicago known for? The Bulls. The Bulls. Also my childhood. Space Jam. You see, like I have this made up childhood there. None of it's real.
Yeah.
None of it's real.
Well, you're not missing a lot because I wanted to leave almost immediately when I had the chance to.
Well, it was just one of those things at the time growing up in Memphis, in a place that I desperately wanted to not be, like television and stuff. I was a latchkey kid and that was part of it.
Okay.
Because you go home and see all those things. I mean, I saw 9/11 like on the television the day it happened. And
How old were you when it
I was in
happened?
8th grade. So I think, what is
Okay.
8th grade? 13, 14?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I'm horrible
Yeah.
at that.
No,
Correlating age with.
No.
You were like 12, 11, 12. Nope.
No, well, 9th grade is 15. 13, 14.
You said 8th grade?
8th grade.
Yeah, you're right, 14.
13, 14. I don't know exactly. It was right before my birthday, so probably right before I turned 14.
Yeah.
In October. But like, that was actually the moment that I remember where the world became small, right? Because until then, I had never been anywhere. I'd never traveled outside of the South. And then like, you know, through all these different things, working with veteran stuff, I've got to see different places and different communities. I found out that most people are alike and that most places are the same. That's the number one thing I found out.
Right.
Is you think like it's all going to be like crazy different, but then you're like, oh, the Whole Foods is next to Trader Joe's here.
Right.
And it's all the same planning.
I don't want to date you here, so I apologize in advance.
Go ahead.
I was in pre-K when 9/11 happened, and honestly have no memories of it.
That's because you're not a real American.
I know. Oh, darn.
How
Working on
dare
that.
you?
Pre-K.
Well, you're just like sitting there and the teacher just like turns you all around as she turns on the TV.
It goes to show how long the GWAT lasted. Like you have now, as I see it, 2 buckets of veterans from that era. Guys in the pre-2010 era and then the post-2010 era.
You know, there is that, but what's funny is I don't identify at all with any of the Iraq veterans.
Okay.
Because my first deployment was in 2008 and I enlisted in 2007.
Got it.
But I only went to Afghanistan, but all those other guys, they were like Fallujah, Ramadi, doing all that stuff, Sadr City and all those different, they're like, hey, remember like Route Steven or like whatever they called them? No association with that.
Right.
Because like I was watching those dudes on Live Leak, like doing raids and stuff, being like, click, boom, I'm coming down with this area.
Want to do that.
Yeah, that's what made me enlist. I was just like, oh, that thing's got a grenade launcher on it. Like,
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, why? Because my understanding is you joined the Marine Corps.
yes,
Correct? What was the reasoning behind it?
I wanted to be a hero.
Got it.
There was none else available. No, it's funny you asked that. Sorry, I wanted to be the tip of the spear. My uncle is probably where that set in.
Okay.
He was in the first Gulf War, and he was a reservist, and I saw that. But then my cousin joined 4 years, literally almost 4 years to the day before me.
Okay.
So
I'm sure 9/11 was pretty influential.
yeah.
in that.
He had to be in high school when that happened.
Nope.
So, you know, that was a big part of it. That's even like, this is my favorite camo pattern. It's the first camo pattern I ever saw.
Right.
Or have a memory of, is seeing all these guys and these chocolate chip camis. And I looked
From the
at
Gulf War era.
Yeah,
Right.
I looked at the Army, and I don't know, I didn't vibe with it. The Air Force, they didn't need me. They weren't interested. I had good ASVAB scores and stuff, but like, I was like, what happens if I don't get what I want? And they're like, you'll just be a mechanic somewhere, or
Right.
security forces somewhere. And I
Open something.
Yeah, open something. The Navy, nope, not doing that. Enclosed on a vessel, not my thing. Coast Guard, I saw the Ashton Kutcher movie.
Oh, where he's like a rescue diver swimmer.
No,
Okay.
I was like, can I do that? Can I?
That looks dope.
That looks cool. Kevin Costner's his mentor, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the Marines, dude, the commercials, the uniforms, the
Right. They
swagger
have a dragon.
that we killed, the few, the proud. Bad deal for the dragon getting killed every year, but
Right.
I just saw it and I was like, dude, I'm going to do that.
It's cool.
And I was like, I've got to choose infantry. Because at that time, the concern was if I join and I miss the war. It's not laughing. I'm not laughing at war. It's just a funny concept to think at that time that it was going to wrap up soon.
Yeah.
But it did seem that way.
It did.
It did. And, Iraq
Right.
Iraq had green zones by the time I was in, And that was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's be a hero.
Sure.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, like I was going back and forth with you, I did join the Air Force. It wasn't necessarily my first pick. The reason why I say that is because, like every other 8th grader in the world, I watched Black Hawk Down 900 times and was like, that Army Ranger shit is the only thing in the world I want to do. That sounds really, really cool.
Such a good movie.
That kind of all changed when I walked into the Army recruiting office.
Oh, no.
And not talking down to any Army guys at all, but
Look at Blas when you say it. Look at, yeah.
Let me guess.
okay, go ahead.
Overweight. sloppy uniform.
No, the 27-year-old in front of me, I felt more intelligent than as a 17-year-old. And I just didn't want to trust that mouth breather with my future. It was too important to me, let alone sign papers that he was going to put in front of me. Yeah. And I walked in with like a basic cut sheet of questions, like nothing too crazy, but like, hey, what is the IRR? How does the active duty versus reserve thing work? What contract can I get? What schools can I go to? What educational benefits do you have available to you while I'm on active duty orders?
Literally almost everything on the brochure. You just wanted to confirm. And hear it firsthand from somebody.
I wasn't a big fan.
That's crazy that he couldn't recite that to you.
Of the answers.
Especially since he goes to a 6-month class. That's what they're taught. They're just,
really?
Yeah, it's 6
7
months.
weeks long in South Carolina.
It's like, I think their whole MOS school is a few months, but like they go to a class and they have like on the job training and then they get let loose.
To be a recruiter.
That's how I remember someone explaining it to me. But he should have been like, this kid's sold. All I got to do is lie to him about a few things.
Basic questions.
Yeah, like,
if they walk into your office,
it's a wrap.
It's usually a fucking wrap. Like you have to fuck it up pretty bad.
So funny little story about that. My dad was sitting next to me at the time, who was also Army veteran. And we get out and he just kind of sat there, didn't really say anything. And as we're walking out of the recruiting office, I lean over and I ask him, hey Dad, are they all like that? Ooh. And he says, no, son, that was a good one. Like he could put sentences together somewhat. So I was like, okay, maybe we should go talk to the Air Force people.
Dad strategically had it in his head that he did not want you.
Dad did not want that to go down.
So we walked down the hall and knocked on the Air Force door and no one answered. And I learned something about the Air Force that day that I thought was interesting, at least at the time. I don't know if this has since changed, but the Air Force doesn't really need to recruit. The recruits kind of come to them, which I thought was an interesting fact about them because it shows what benefits you can get based on what path you go through. So we had to book an appointment like a month out to talk to this guy, to talk to this tech sergeant about what the Air Force is like, and walked in with the same cut sheet worth questions and got better answers, to me at least, and got a much better feeling about my future moving forward.
What year is this?
This is 2015.
That tracks.
Yep. And what I also learned too is like I had to be in DEP or the delayed entry program for like a year versus the Army model is, hey, you can ship in like 2 weeks. We can get you out of here in a heartbeat.
You had to be in DEP for a year to join the Air Force?
So I started this process as a junior.
Is that standard?
From the guys that signed my job, yes. Like if you want a cyber-y job, you kind of have to wait around for a year, I've heard. So I knew that going in and I wanted to start this like whole joining the military thing as a junior. So I wasn't just sitting around for a year.
So you're doing like the workouts and stuff and
the Future Soldier program,
like
or
basic,
Future Airman program.
Like if you're fat, you have to PT with us. Make sure you make tape. Don't, get arrested while you're waiting, that kind of thing. And the whole thing was, I don't know how the Army does it, but you're just waiting for a job to come up. So I went to MEPS and they give you like this cut sheet list of like that you have your ASVAB, you did this well, these are the jobs you qualify for.
What was your score?
Honestly, don't remember. I think I scored like above 90-ish. Nothing too crazy.
Do you remember your GT score?
No. Quite honestly.
Like the Air Force, they won't recruit kind of how the Army and Marines recruit, right?
Yeah.
They'll typically go off of like student ASVAB scores because you could take the ASVAB while you're in high school.
Yeah.
They'll usually just go off of that list because they know if you're above a 50, like you're qualified to join the Air Force. So they'll just look at everybody who's a 50 and above, contact them, reach out to them, and they'll pretty much just keep it there.
My prerequisites for what was important to me looking for a job, like going into the military, was I wanted something with a security clearance, preferably a top secret security clearance. And then I definitely wanted a secured job. I didn't want to go open anything because if I was going to become government property, I didn't want to give Uncle Sam any more power than he would already get from me about my future, right? And then I wanted to do something in computers because I knew it could lead to a good path after I got out. And
that was all you? You had that all on your own?
So I got a lot of good guidance from my parents, but also like I made a conscious choice that and I'm still working on this, I really want to be successful. And I knew that I could increase my chances of becoming more successful if I walked down a technical path. And my big thing was there are people who go to college and pay big dollars to learn a skill set, right? Be a computer, or I want to be a plumber, an electrician. But when I found out that I could not only serve, but also get paid to learn a skill set along the way, it was huge for me. And it comes with a GI Bill and benefits, and I get to give back to the country. That sounds like a win-win for everybody. And my big thing was, even now, romantic, business, or otherwise, in any relationship that I enter, I want it to be mutually beneficial. And when I saw the type of relationship that I could enter into with the Air Force, I saw it as a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah.
I won, they won. And where I think a lot of guys end up, unfortunately, at the end of their service is they're very jaded and bitter because they feel as though the Army took them or the Marine Corps took more from them than they got out of the Marine Corps. And they just get on the other end of it like angry at the government or Uncle Sam or whomever. And I just didn't want to be that guy. So I made a conscious choice to like, okay, if I'm going to sign up to do this, I want to get something out of them because I know they're going to get a lot out of me.
Yeah.
And my mentality with it was I wanted to use them like they're going to use me. And if the DOD or Uncle Sam is going to pour millions of dollars in training, equipping, supplying, giving medical care to, like my clearance, like if they're going to pour this much resources into John Minelli, I should care at minimum that much about myself. Because if they see this much value in me, I should see at minimum that much value, if not more. And that's why I just didn't feel good about the Army dude when I sat down with him.
Yeah.
He didn't give me a good feeling about my future. So I got a better feeling at the Air Force recruiter.
This is what's missing.
Yeah.
In recruitment ads right here.
For sure, 100%.
Just someone talking about it, like, not that
It's a business transaction.
Yeah. Yep. Not that you're using it, but what you can gain from it. It's literally one of the most guaranteed things that you can do that'll change your family's life, like your generation, whatever happens next. The Minelli clan is on a different path now, just like your father and before him.
100%.
Because you made these decisions, as opposed to people like, you talk about the jaded stuff. Guys are like that all the time. Like, and I'm like, I had a really, really good squad leader who talked me out of that early on. And he goes, listen, not everyone gets asked to stay. Most people have to ask to stay. When the time comes, you need to be ready and have all the power that you can. Treat this like a fucking job.
Yep.
And I was like, okay. And when the time came, they said, Zach, do you want to re-enlist? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Like that was a big change as opposed to like coming in there like in a soft position with no real leverage. They're like, well, what do you want? And I was like, I don't know. What do I want? I want a Millennium Falcon. That was what I said.
Sure. Right.
That was what I said all the time. I'll re-enlist for a Millennium Falcon. And they're like, the technology's not there yet. And I'm like, okay, what else do you have?
Right.
So I just don't feel like people really understand the value that the military can offer you in your personal, professional life.
100%.
And also just the idea of service. There's so many things you can gain from it. Like, it's going to be hard. Yes, anything's hard. But like, I mean, you're literally going to learn something and go on a great adventure. I mean, like, honestly, that was what was appealing to me as well. Outside of the war stuff was like, this is going to be some kind of crazy adventure and I have no idea what's going to be on the other side.
Well, you talk about like people who don't realize what normal is. We throw around the word poverty in America a lot.
Yeah.
And I know you've been outside America and have seen what like real poverty looks like.
Yes.
We use that word incorrectly here.
Yes.
In my opinion. When I was in Afghanistan as a defense contractor, I had the privilege of eating at a NATO chow hall and saw the disparity between Uncle Sam dollars and the rest of the world military dollars and how big that disparity is.
What's funny though is at a NATO chow hall, they're all Uncle Sam dollars.
Right. They're just trickled down from us. Correct.
We just call it NATO. But yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But like
another one. Yeah.
To anybody who is unsure about their future or maybe wasn't born in a circumstance that had a lot of opportunity, I would highly implore you to find the nearest Armed Forces Recruiting Center nearest to you and speak to someone wearing camouflage. Yeah. And if you're really smart, you talk to the people wearing Air Force name tapes.
Facts. I mean, dude, I wasn't going to college.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough. I wasn't doing anything with my life. There were soft skills, genetically. I'm made to fix anything with wheels. Like I come
Mechanically
from
inclined.
yes, like I know how it works. It makes sense to me. I can do it. Like that is a trade I could fall back on in a heartbeat. What if I didn't like working on cars for a job?
Right.
I also saw my granddad who could barely turn a wrench, when he was 50, and I was like, ugh.
This doesn't look fun.
No, my old man was the same. He was in his 30s. His hands start cramping. I'm like, what do you do then?
Yeah.
But there was no way to like break that cycle of like lower working class. This is what we do. Do a side, you got a main job and you got a side job. And I'm like, okay, well, what if I want to do something else? What if I want to go to college? What if I want to do all these other things? There was no path forward. And the military gave me that. And like, people don't really understand it. If I could go back in time though, I would be like, choom, like hit myself over the head, be like, look into officers. Like that's the only thing I would do. Like go to college, get a degree, and then you can be an officer, and then like everything's significantly different after that. So
after you get done with boot camp, after basic training, what is your post-secondary basic training called? Like we call it tech school.
It's a MOS school, but it was SOI, the School of Infantry.
SOI, okay.
So I went there to like learn how to be an 0311.
Okay, I know the Navy calls it A school.
Yeah, they have like A school, job school.
When I was at our version of that, tech school at Keesler Air Force Base, it's where all the nerds of the Air Force go. So if you want to learn how to be a communicator in any sort of capacity, you end up at Keesler Air Force Base. And you've been a brand new E2 nobody. Like you're around a lot of like young 19-year-old kids.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, I don't know, angry or pissed off or upset about school or not making enough money. And my thing at the time was like, dude, I am being paid to become educated.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid to learn a skill set that will not only like make the Air Force better and make the country better, but like make me better. And there are people that have to pay money to go to tech schools or college or some sort of vocation school. And I'm sitting in a seat learning and getting dollars and cents put in my pocket because of it. I'm really grateful that opportunity exists in this country. And I would hope if anybody gets something from this that like, not only that like you look into that opportunity if you don't know where your future is going, but look into it from the place of, okay, what is important to you? Like, and I think that's a very honest conversation that I can only speak to the young man perspective, but I don't think enough young men are honest with themselves about what is truly important to them. Because I mean, God gave this gift of life to you. And as far as I know, you only get one shot at it. So you should be very, very selective about what you do with this gift. So if success is important to you, or if adventure is important to you, or if traveling the world is important to you, I think you alone should have those conversations with yourself and choose paths accordingly. And an unfortunate problem that I see happen is a lot of young 19-year-olds get in a recruiting office and get a pamphlet tossed in front of them or a video played, and they're like, oh, this is it. Yeah. Someone who is directionless. And they don't go a level deeper. They don't talk to the dudes who are on the other end of that career to talk about the benefits and the cons, or even worse, like let their parents or a mentor or someone else guide them or push them rather into a place that's maybe that person saw themselves going into 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's you. It's your life. You should have an honest conversation about what is important to you. And what I compare it to is anyone can become a college graduate, but the difference between an English major and a STEM major as far as career opportunities after they become college graduates are very, very severe. Like there's a big difference in that. And it's my opinion that when it comes to, okay, I not only want to join the military, the next biggest decision is, what do I want to do? What do I want my life to look like after I get out?
Yeah.
And that will impact the job that you pick and the branch that you select and the places that you will go and the things that you will do. So I would just implore all like the young dudes that are thinking about this military thing, I'm sure a lot of your viewers are, take it seriously because it will impact the rest of your life.
And it could change everything.
Yep.
Hey guys, Veteran with a Sign here, and I've got something game-changing to share with you. If you're a protector, a parent, or just someone who wants to be ready for whatever life throws at you, this is for you. The USCCA just dropped an unbelievable deal on self-defense training that you can't afford to miss. Here's the scoop. They've launched a new site where you can go sign up for over 1,600 in-person self-defense courses nationwide. And the kicker, They're 100% free through the end of the year. That's right, no strings attached. This is your chance to learn real-world self-defense skills from experienced instructors in your own community. Whether it's building a home protection plan, mastering situational awareness, or diving deep into the laws of self-defense, these expert-led classes are designed to give you the confidence and tools to protect yourself and your loved ones. Don't wait. Go to uscca.com/veteran right now. Find a course near you and sign up today. Opportunities like this don't come around often, and spots will fill up fast. Take action now, invest in your safety, and level up your skills. That's uscca.com/veteran to get started today. You're talking about direction.
Okay.
And how most people don't really understand the direction they want in life, especially as a young man, young woman, young lady, whatever.
Sure.
It's hard. Because especially in the era we're in now, all the rules have changed.
Okay.
In the sense of like, when I was growing up, it's like there was like tech programs, vocational programs, and college programs. You had to pick a path in high school, one or the other.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a real thing.
Okay.
You like pick tech school stuff or like non-tech school stuff.
Okay.
Now all that stuff's been thrown out the window because now people realize you can make more money in the trades than you can trading stocks. Well, you can make money trading stocks, but that's just gambling. Because like all the things like you have to go to college or you won't make this stuff. Well, now college doesn't really have the same luster or shine it used to.
Heard that my entire life growing up.
No, everyone was like, you need to go to college, you need to go to college, you need to go to college. And I was like, okay. I didn't know you don't learn anything really. You just learn stuff. You don't learn, I think you learn about yourself and like who you want to be, and ideas change. But like, I don't know, it's tough to know what you're doing, but you had that very clear sense of self. So what was it like being surrounded by other people who didn't in the Air Force?
Good question.
Right?
Yeah.
Because no one else. It would bother me. I can feel it in my bones. Be like, dude, Minelli's so smart. He gets on my fucking nerves, dude. You know? Like,
no, I've rubbed a lot of people.
No, it's not a negative. It's just like most people in the military. I can say this or like this.
Oh, mouth breathers.
Yeah, like because you're really kind of stalling. If you don't really have a plan of like what's after, you're kind of stalling life.
Correct.
And especially in the infantry.
Yeah.
We were just guys camping.
With guns.
With guns. We were just guys. I said camping. We're just guys camping. I know you're from Chicago. You're not used to that.
Right.
We're always camping. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm camping right now. You know what I'm saying? No, but like you're just kind of like on sabbatical or whatever. But like most everyone I knew didn't really have a plan or what was next. But what was that like for you? Like, so you're in the cyber world, you know, violating people's privacy on a regular basis.
Definitely.
What's that like? Taking away rights of people.
I'll say this.
It was for my safety. Is that what you're going to tell me?
Edward Snowden is my hero.
Is he really?
No. What I would say is, so I was a cyber transporter. It's a very Air Force-y way of saying network dude or network tech, okay?
What was your real job? Not what you tell your family, but what was your real job?
3 Delta 1X2 is the Air Force cutout.
Yeah,
okay?
you say cyber transporter. What I heard was you know where Megatron is.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the non-nerd way to describe that job is we take an installation worth of computers and on an Air Force base typically, and we'll give them the pipes or the infrastructure to be able to talk to one another safely, securely, et cetera.
Nice.
Most cyber transporters go to a communication squadron, and you're a nerd, you go play with other nerds, right?
Okay.
When I was in tech school, orders day is a big day. So it's where you get orders cut and you find out where you're going to spend the next 4 to 6 years of your Air Force career, right?
Whoa. Pull it back.
Okay.
You do 6-year contracts for your job?
I did a 4.
Okay. Is that standard to get?
For my job, I could sign a 4. I believe the only other jobs like in the technical space that require the 6-year are like linguists or air traffic controllers. They were also at Keesler. We would like rub shoulders with them.
Okay.
Their fail outs would get washed into our pipeline.
Okay.
Like if you couldn't be a controller or if you failed the linguist test, they were like, okay, maybe you can computer well.
For people who don't know, will you explain what a controller is?
Oh, excuse me. A person who sits in an air traffic control tower and will land planes and say, you are cleared to land at runway 02. The Air Force takes that job very seriously because if you don't do it perfectly, people die.
Yeah.
So there's a very high standard of doing that job.
The Air Force is really big into planes too.
Yep.
So I'm told.
I've heard.
Yeah.
It's kind of their whole thing.
I love the Air Force. People forget how new it is.
Yeah.
They forget how new planes are.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about that all the time, and no one cares.
Yep. Well, I got orders cut, and I got orders to an aircraft maintenance squadron, which is not typical for a communicator.
Mm-hmm.
And what I discovered about what would be the rest of my Air Force career is I worked the RQ-4 Global Hawk. That was my job.
Okay.
So I was stationed at Grand Forks Air Force Base up in North Dakota.
I was trying to think of where that was. Yeah.
It gets very cold. It gets so cold there that you have to install engine block heaters in your truck because if you park them outside too long, they will freeze.
No.
It's right on the border of Canada.
No.
And the airframe that is attached to that base is the Global Hawk. It is a high-flying ISR asset. What that means is it flies really high and takes photos of people or collects on near-peer threats to the United States, right? So a maintainer in Air Force speak is typically someone who maintains the airframe, okay? These are your wrench turners, like crew chiefs or avionics specialists, typically. Guys who work on all things mechanical on the jet, like changing the oil or doing brakes and services or doing an engine swap. Or an avionics specialist is someone who will handle all things electronic on the airframe. Typically is how traditionally it runs.
Okay.
In the Marine Corps, you guys have what is the big separation? All things combat arms and then pogues, correct?
Yeah. Mainly grunts and pogues.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is what I've heard.
Yeah.
The Air Force equivalent of that is you have flight line people, maintainers, flyers, pilots, anybody who works on the flight line. Mock would be another example of this. And then you have what are referred to as nonners or non-sortie producing motherfuckers.
I've heard of this.
Okay.
I've heard of this because I thought it was nooners.
Right.
And somebody's like hanging out with the nooners.
Nonner.
But it's nonner.
So
Yeah.
typically I would fall into this category. Someone who cops, cooks, communicators, dudes who work not on a flight line.
Yeah.
My job, we were in a weird in-between world. I would call us the black sheep of the squadron. So because the airframe that I worked on was an RPA, it was an unmanned platform, the cockpit that the pilots flew this aircraft in was treated as an aircraft component.
What do you mean the cockpit when you do?
Okay,
like,
so it's a shelter is the term we would use. It is the cockpit that the pilot on the ground will sit in.
the shipping container stuff.
Correct.
That stuff's real? Like that's what you're talking about? It's like
That's what I
super
did.
real?
So they need nerds to fix all the computer stuff when it breaks.
Yeah.
I was ground comm is the term we would use. And the reason why I bring that up is because the troubleshooting mentality or framework that I was taught how to employ in tech school when I was learning how to do my job, the first thing they tell you to do when you get to an aircraft maintenance squadron is to throw that out the window. And the reason why is because when you perform maintenance on an aircraft, you have something called a TO or a technical order. It's like a laptop, how you will exactly perform maintenance. You go step by step down a checklist, turn computer on this way, hit these keys this way, eat banana, jet fixed. That's kind of the mentality. So typically that
I
is
knew bananas were involved.
right.
Yeah.
That is typically a world that only traditional aircraft maintainers live in, but we were cyber dudes that had to operate in this world. You have a manning number. You have to check out tools from support. The Air Force is very, very big on tool accountability and aircraft accountability. Anytime you do any sort of maintenance on this airframe, on the shelter, you have to open and close jobs in CAMs and then forms as well. You have to mirror the maintenance in two places. It's a lot of paperwork. And the reason why is because these planes are very, very expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I walked in a circle, so it's the same thing is what we're getting here. Yeah.
Well, I tell the story and I give this preamble because I was a little jaded about that when I first got here because I signed up to do like this network shit. I was like, I want to make computers talk to one another. I want to be a communicator. I want to like do all this nerdy shit that I learned how to do in tech school.
Yeah.
And when I learned that I would be a monkey with a laptop instead, I was not so happy about it. It was one of the best lessons that I could have learned as a young man, though.
What was the lesson?
And I bring this up because the last thing I'll say about this, all our leadership because I was a cyber dude in an aircraft maintenance squadron means I have aircraft maintenance leadership. So everyone above my LT came up in a maintenance world. Okay. So what that means is I have to take, as A1C nobody, I have to explain computer concepts to a captain or a major or a light colonel who never grew up in my world, and explain it through the lens of maintenance. And that was very frustrating. What was also really frustrating was a big part of the reason why I joined the Air Force was to further my education.
Yeah.
So the Air Force catches a lot of shit, and rightfully so. It is the most bureaucratic branch of any branch. It is the branch that has the lowest PT standards and has a culture that is akin to corporate America. It is called Big Blue, is a nickname for it.
Really?
Which is a reference to the IBM Corporation, but is also a George Orwell reference for the Orwellian dystopia of Big Brother, right?
I thought it was to the Big Blue Yonder.
It is that as well, but like within, it's referred to as like the bureaucratic.
Is that like the green weenie? Is that
Correct.
Okay.
The bureaucratic nonsense that comes along with being an airman in the Air Force.
Oh, Big Blue got you again, right? Okay.
The one thing they do better than anyone, in my opinion.
Chow.
That.
Sleeping
And
quarters.
Yeah.
the Air Force will go out of its way to not only make sure, but ensure that airmen, and this was the big thing for me, that lower enlisted airmen have access to educational resources and opportunities.
For real?
And I'll tell a story as to why I saw that in my career. So the resources are allocated at the numbered Air Force level, like at the general level, and those resources are allocated in a way where I, as an airman, can go around my leadership to take advantage of those resources.
Wow.
Because education in the SMART branch is a priority. That's what we were like, hey, you guys join the Air Force. Like, you're supposed to be the smart ones.
Yeah.
And the way you get smarter is by learning things.
Allegedly.
Supposedly,
Yeah.
what I've been told.
So they say.
Okay. A big problem or a big headache, a challenge that was presented to me when I was at this aircraft maintenance squadron as a young airman was a big cert that I wanted to get was my CCNA. That is a Cisco Certified Network Associate. It is a certification that the vendor Cisco, a company that makes switching and networking and routing hardware, how computers talk to one another, they put out a test and say, if you can pass this test, you can, at an associate level, work on our equipment. It's a civilian cert. And if I were in the communication squadron down the road, my leadership would not only be happy about the fact that Senior Airman Minelli wants to get this cert, but they would spend squadron dollars to send me to Keesler Air Force Base, TDY, to get this. Because I'm trying to improve myself. I make the squadron better. Everybody wins. Air Force wins. We have more proficient techs. The network is better. Everybody wins in the circumstance. In the squadron that I worked for, I don't know if the Marine Corps did this. We had this thing called all calls, where they put everybody in a room and say, hey, how can we make the squadron better? Like,
No.
what ways do we improve this place?
No.
And this is where I bring up the corporate idea, right? That's a dog and pony show. It was all very fake to me.
I understand.
Okay. So I would always ask the same question. I would say, hey, sir, I would love if I could go, or some of my other peers could go to Keesler Air Force Base to get this cert, because it would make everyone better. I was never afforded the opportunity to do it. I never was helped by my leadership in order to do that. And I tell this story not as a way to motherfuck a group of people I used to work for. I tell this story because I still ended up getting this cert, but I had to take advantage of resources that were not made easily available to me. I went through a pool of money that was allocated, again, at that numbered Air Force level to get this cert. And I don't remember the name of the program, but the way they ran it was, so long as your improvement training or education that you're trying to earn in some way helps your job or your AFSC specifically, the Air Force will help you pay for it. So like the example that was commonly given, like if I'm a cop, I can't go get a bodybuilding cert or professional trainer cert. But if I'm a cyber transporter and I want to get a CCNA, they will absolutely pay for that because the Air Force wins. And I had to talk to the education office and talk to educational resource officers on what pools of money I could pull from young A1C Minelli could go through in order to become better. And I tell that story because I know that there are a lot of people who are in squadrons or companies or platoons that don't think they have the best leadership above them. I know it's very common. I would implore you to not let that deter you to improve your future, that these things are just challenges. And one of the things that I have tried to do with my life is use negative traits about myself in a positive manner. And I'm very stubborn by nature. So when I have a group of people tell me, no, we're not going to help you, or things aren't moving fast enough, I think you should achieve those things regardless of the people that are in front of you. I told all the airmen that were new guys in our shop, like, they're not going to help you for a myriad of reasons, but you as a person should go get this cert because it will make you a better cyber transporter if you have your CCNA. And I know that that's a tech nerd example, but there are other examples of other dudes and other squadrons or other jobs that can better themselves, but maybe have some challenges with their job or their boss or their immediate report. And they will say, that's the reason why I'm not improving myself. I would implore you, if it means sometimes going around or through that person, do it, because it's your life. And at the end of the day, like, you're responsible for you. The Air Force is not going to take care of you after you get out. That is your responsibility.
Damn, dude, you want this job, man? Like, what are you doing to me, dude? Hey, stick to supplements, brother. Sure. Like, leave the rest of it.
Sure.
Leave some for the rest of us. It's you know, it's remarkable at such a young age you had this like clear understanding of reality. Like, most people don't have that, especially in the military, but you're like, it's a machine.
Yeah.
It's a machine.
Well, I'll tell the last piece of this story. And again, I'm not telling this to belittle people that I used to work for. But I don't know how your separation process was like.
Nah.
But when I got out, like, I did 4 years and thought, okay, like, I tested for staff and ended up getting like a line number. But I knew that the Air Force was going to be as cool as it was going to get for me in the E4 Mafia, like senior airman, nobody.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do any of the NCO shit. So the expression we use is pull chalks. Like, I wanted to do the
pull chalks. Yeah.
I wanted to do the defense contractor thing. I wanted to get out. I wanted to like move on to the next chapter. Right. So when you PCS or ETS or go anywhere in the military, you get this giant out processing checklist. You have to go walk around base to all these people you've never talked to get signed off and out of systems that you've never known you've been in, right? So I do all this nonsense to finally get out. And the last checklist that I have to check off is I have to report to the first sergeant, have an out processing briefing with him. And it's like a no holds bar kind of moment. It was me and my other buddy who I had, interestingly, went through basic training, tech school, and got orders to the same place. We actually deployed together as well. So me and him, I'm not going to say his name, but me and him were sitting in this first sergeant's office. And he's like, okay, guys, no holds bar. Why are you getting out? Like, we're only trying to make the squadron better. And the preamble I gave is, hey, this cert was very important to me. I had to go around you guys to get this. And the point that I always brought up is because I was in that maintenance squadron, like, I'm working with dudes who are actual maintainers, dudes who are actually working on jets. And then you have all these just nerd people, but we still report to you guys. And the people who are in the maintenance pool, the wrench turners, have their equivalent of this certification. It's called an AMP, or an aircraft maintenance professional. And squadron dollars would be spent quite often sending these guys to Shepherd, I believe, to get this cert. And again, it's a civilian cert that makes them more proficient fixing and wrenching on jets. Air Force wins, the squadron wins, et cetera. Why can't we do that for cyber people? And the answer I got, finally the honest answer that I got 3 days away from being out of the Air Force was, that's going to make you more employable when you get out of the military. And we're not going to spend squadron dollars helping you guys get out, because I am a maintenance dude and I know cyber people don't have trouble getting out of the military and making money. Maintainers do, though. And it's one of those bite your tongue moments, because first sergeant is talking, but everybody would win. I would win. The Air Force would win. The squadron would get better. It's a DISA requirement, or a military requirement, that your maintainers on your network have to be accredited through the vendor of the hardware that you have on the network. But because I have a jaded first sergeant in front of me, he's never going to approve my TDY training.
Yeah.
And again, I tell this story not to talk myself up or talk about how cool I am. I tell this story because I know that there is someone listening to this podcast that does have a crusty, jaded, bitter first sergeant in front of them, trying to push them down to lift themselves up.
Oh, yeah.
And make themselves feel better because they're at the 19-year mark of a very lackluster career that has 3 divorces on the tail of it.
Name him.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
PFC nobody is at the behest of this guy.
Yeah.
So I would tell to that private or to that whomever, like, don't let this guy beat you.
Yeah.
Because again, you get one life, man. And this dude is just going to be like a chapter in your story to make you better.
Dude, you're hitting on so many different things, but you reminded me of my first sergeant because most people don't realize that a lot of their promotions are based off of who they're able to retain.
Okay.
It's based into, at least in the Marine Corps, who they're able to like keep and re-enlist. That's part of like
I believe that.
their fit rep or whatever it is, their package. Is that way in the Army too?
Not at the recruiting level, no.
I mean, not recruiting, but like a unit. Like if they're able to retain people, they don't have a people problem over there. They're like a million.
Yeah. They come in and out.
Yeah. But mine was like, he was like really nice to me and he's like, are you thinking about sticking around? I was like, I don't know. And then the next day I was like, I don't know. I think I'm going to leave. And he goes, oh, because you're a fucking bitch. And
are you talking about career counselors?
Not career counselor, just my company first sergeant.
Gotcha.
He was beyond not thrilled.
Their numbers are based off of retention, yes.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, he would be a fucking bitch. And I was like, dude, chill.
Or retention officer.
Not retention, just my company first, like the highest enlisted guy in my company.
Wow.
Got it.
And he was like beside himself. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. He's like, why? Because you're scared? And I was like, no, I've
Yeah, they like bully you into re-enlisting.
Yeah, and I was like, this is where you should be selling me. He's like, nope, I'm not doing that at all. Like he's just gonna yell at me. It was actually crazy work the way he was doing things. But
so you guys aren't offered bonuses or anything when you re-enlist?
Well, like from the retention guy, yeah, but like they like tag team it. It's like a good cop, bad cop thing. At least that's the way they were doing it.
What was the quote that was making the social media rounds? Your re-enlistment bonus is being a Marine.
They would say stuff like that,
which is crazy.
I got offered $30,000 for a contract, an OP4 contract, so I had to deploy in like X amount of months, and I was just like, dude, combat deployments at that time, it's just a game of numbers. The more you do, the more patrols you do, the more contact you get, the more chances you. It's just like simple math, and like.
You're walking around with a target on your back.
Yeah, and I felt like I don't know how many more of these I have before something happens. Mm-hmm. And like I'd also missed so much of my family's life. I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. Yep. And like I had no thing that I was like, have I done that? No, I've done that. I've done that. I've done that. And so it's just funny that like at a time when he should have been like not coercing me, but like trying to show me what I could do with a career, instead he was just like, you're a fucking loser. Like it was just like his only like Marine reaction.
And they will get guys by doing that.
Yep. Yeah. And I just remember being like, all right. Like, and he's like, get out of my office. I was like, okay. Like I just laughed at him and that made him more mad. Yep. Like he tried to keep us from going to our friend's wedding too. And like, I was like, hey, we're going. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like it's a wrap.
Yeah. Like lower enlisted dudes, you have to like read between the lines sometimes. I know these people will say they have your best interests in mind, but sometimes they don't. And you are your own QRF. You are responsible for your own life and your own safety and your own level of success. And First Sergeant such and such is not going to be the reason why you are successful. I think you are going to be the reason why you are successful. Mm-hmm. And it comes the same thing with fitness, or it comes the same thing with life. You should see these people, in my opinion, as just points in your story about what challenges I'm going to overcome to make me better. But like so many guys, like they will pin it on First Sergeant such and such as the reason why they're not successful.
Yeah.
And put the blame at like.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
It's just weird because like you're everything to them and then you're not.
I know.
But that's why you moved on to government contracting, because it wasn't enough for you to steal information in the Air Force.
Correct.
You had to continue to infringe on freedoms outside of it.
And get paid more to do it.
Yeah, hard to argue. How long did you do contracting?
So I'll tell the story with that as well. So when I learned that the one thing that was missing, I will say, from my Air Force career, that choice to bring it all back to when I first started, like, do you want to do hood shit and maybe have less earning potential when you get out? Or do you want to learn a skill and have a less traditional military experience at the cost of maybe less range days or less training days or less high-speed stuff? The choice that I made as an 18-year-old was like, okay, I want to get this technical stuff taken care of because success is important to me. What was missing in my heart, though, was I wanted more Black Hawk rides and I wanted more range days and I wanted more plate carriers, right? So when I learned that I could do a similar job to what I was doing in the Air Force, but work for a private company instead of a military branch, grow out a beard, and get paid to go to places like Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria, it was the only thing in the world that I wanted to do. So
Until you get there.
I really liked my time when I was there, man.
No, I loved it. That was the problem.
Okay.
My problem was how much I loved it.
Yeah.
You know.
And you were doing the combat arms thing. I was just flying around being a nerd.
Yeah, but you had no one in charge of you.
And I got to grow out a beard, which was
nice. You had to grow a beard. I mean, you're basically, you had like an M4 or an MP5 on you, plain clothes.
Dude, when
cap, out there just, you know.
When they told me that, so I'll bring it back. I worked for a company that provided a service to the federal government, because people toss around that word defense contractor. Like, what is a defense contractor? That is an individual who will work for a defense contractor company. The big ones being L3 or Northrop Grumman.
L3's got a headquarters here.
I believe that. Yeah. Raytheon is another big one. They will sell services to the U.S. government. So if I'm one of these,
kidding.
Right?
Raytheon.
If I'm one of these companies and you're the federal government, we will negotiate on a contract, right? Yeah. We will provide a service, and if you pay me $200 million, some astronomical amount of money at the taxpayer expense, right? We will fulfill that service, be it networks or security or logistics, whatever. Yeah. So then once I get this contract as L3, I then need to go out and hire a bunch of people who we would call FSRs or field service reps to provide the service that we just promised. So I was one of those dudes. And the program that I worked on, the service that it provided, my job was to get, we would call it handshake, or a connection with fast-moving aircraft, F-16s, A-10s, AWT or an air weapons team, an Apache helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
All these airframes, they have pods or very high-tech cameras on the bottom of them. My job as a tech dude was to get handshake with these airframe in the air and then in real time bring it into a strike cell so that a controller, a JTAC combat controller, someone talking to the bird overhead, could see in real time what the pilot was seeing.
Yeah.
And what that would do is it would provide more fidelity for the ground commander. This is someone who actually puts his initials on the strike package to say, kill him, don't kill him. Yeah. My feed would get handed off to what's called a PED, or an imagery analyst. This is someone who has the training and the know-how to look at feed coming down from an aircraft and make assessments. Okay. Whereas if we were to look at the same feed, the only thing we could say is, okay, I see 3 packs with long cylindrical objects walking in a military formation. Only thing to the legal standard that we could say. A PED or an imagery analyst has the training and the certs and the blessings from Uncle Sam to go, I have assessed that those individuals are more than likely Taliban because of the totality of the circumstance, because of the area that they're walking in and other resources that I have in front of me. Yeah. My feed would influence his assessment, the JTAC's know-how, and ultimately the ground commander to put up the strike package or put down the strike package. I was a forward deployed tech guy working with these dudes.
That's sick.
And I loved every second about it. When they told me I was going to get paid to do this, I had a hard on for a week because I was going to get to go to Afghanistan and wear plate carriers and fly around helicopters and do nerd shit on FOBs and COPs. And I loved this job. I would still be doing it, but the Afghan pullout happened and I was out of a job because if the war goes away, defense contractors go away.
You can just shift over to Iraq or Africa.
So what honestly was happening at the time when I was in Syria, of all places,
Syria.
and I can't speak to where exactly. I don't mind speaking to where I was at in Afghanistan.
You just said Syria.
Where specifically in Syria?
Does it rhyme with Shmaleppo?
I would rather be respectful.
Okay.
I'll tell you off camera.
And I will tweet it. Go ahead.
Okay, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great plan.
No.
I was in Syria of all places, and you've been deployed. The only thing to do besides jerk off is lift, right? So like you're at the gym, or you're working, or you're like trying to stay awake, right?
Yes.
So I was in the gym one day, and like a common headache that I had that a lot of dudes have when they're deployed is like none of the water is palatable. So like I'm constantly going to the bathroom, and what the term we would use is Cadillacs. I don't know if you guys called them this. They're called Cadillacs because they're these big white boxes that you would shower, shave, and shit in. Okay, and even though they had faucets,
Oh, you're talking about the trailers.
the trailers.
Okay, yeah.
We would call them Cadillacs. I don't know if there was a Marine Corps term for them.
No, it's
Okay.
just where we would shower before we went
Right.
home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would have a shaker cup that I would love to wash at the sink, but I can't because if I do, like I'll get diarrhea that kills me.
Yeah.
So I got to walk to the other end of the cop where the pallet of water bottles is that's
Yeah.
been like seasoned with microplastics, right?
Yeah.
Pop one of those out and wash my shaker cup there.
Yeah. Well, RFK Jr. just shakes his head at you.
I know.
Yeah. He's like, it's no good.
No good.
Yeah.
So I had that headache. And I'm also walking to the gym, Monster in hand, like jacked out on pre-workout like everybody else.
Yeah.
And I, along with everybody else, like have the very bad habit of like chewing and dipping all the time. So I'm kind of looking around and I'm going, all right, this shaker cup fucking sucks. Like everyone I know either dips or is trying to quit dip. And everyone here is like a caffeine addict. I wonder if I could put all those together and sell it to the people immediately in front of me. I bet it would be cool. And you wouldn't even need to use a shaker cup in order to do it. And it was at that gym that I got the idea for dippable pre-workout. And in my off time, I built a website and a logo and a logistical manufacturing chain for a product the supplement industry does not manufacture.
Break, clear the net. Attention all posts, stand by to copy. Now that I've got your attention, I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for watching this episode. If you want to help us continue to grow, it's really simple. There's a few things you can do. You can like, comment, subscribe, wherever you are. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, drop a rating and review. Every bit helps to make sure that we can keep doing the After Action podcast and get these stories out there. If you're looking for other ways to support the channel, go to veteranwithasign.com. We got shirts, we got merch, we got stickers, we got more. We even got a bunch of ways for you to save in the affiliate section. Check it out. Now let's get back to the episode. Can I just say something?
Yeah.
It's annoying me how smart you are. Just a little bit.
I'm pretty so I appreciate the
No,
compliment.
you're not. No, you're not. Because I never had industry revolutionizing ideas.
Sure.
When I was in Afghanistan. Did you have any crazy industry ideas?
Yeah, that's us. We go by Stiff Lip Supps.
Yeah, Stiff Lip Supplements.
Who's that guy?
What a babe. No, I like I don't know who said it. I think it was Thomas Edison. I'm making this
Okay.
up. But a good product solves a problem.
Yeah.
And the problem is you want people to work out. They want it to be easy and they want it to be convenient. Right? And I like that it's the most bro thing ever
Absolutely.
too. Like you're like, duh, I gotta walk over here and I don't like it. And you're just, your teeth are like grinding together because you probably,
Like a chimp.
probably
Yes.
taking like remember Jack 3D back
So
when
that was pre my era. I heard stories about how fucking
brother,
awesome it was.
low
Meth in a
grade
can.
meth. It was they had it in a lockbox. You remember Jack 3D? In a lockbox at GNC. They couldn't even let the 18-year-old do it. He had to
Right.
get a manager key. It was like, they had to turn it like
What was the ingredient that made it methy?
I don't know, but I know it worked great.
Okay.
Because I took it before every fitness test and set world records each time. Like they're like, don't take it for your run. I was like, oops.
Darn.
And it was actually some soldier who it's what happened. He took
Okay.
like multiple scoops of it when he wasn't supposed to before a PT test and he dropped.
That'll do it.
That'll do it.
Okay.
Which sucks. Obviously, it's sad they died, but like that's literally when they're like off base, change everything. We should probably look into these things.
Right. Well, we don't have meth in our product, unfortunately. We have 300 milligrams of caffeine per pouch, so it's like an energy drink in a pouch. 8 come in a tin, and then it also has other common pre-workout ingredients in it. And
Coconut oil, gum, natural flavors. Yeah, seems great. And it's made in America.
That it is.
Which is what I am all about.
We had to, so as I was doing this, I would call up, the term is white label or private label manufacturers.
Yeah.
The reason why there's 1,001 pre-workouts is because for not a lot of money, you can go to one of these white labels and say, hey, I want a pre-workout.
Yeah.
And they will take some off-the-shelf formula and slap your name, face, logo on it, and ta-da, you have a pre-workout.
Yeah.
So I would call up all these places and be like, hey, I want to do that, but instead of jars and powder, I want to do pouches
Yeah.
that you put in your lip like a dip. And I got the same answer over and over again. Hey, kid, great idea. Here's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't have any of the manufacturing equipment, manpower, know-how to do any of that. Best of luck. I must have had 70 phone calls that went that way.
Yeah.
But I knew if I could just do this, it would people would think it's cool. So what we had to do was purchase manufacturing equipment normally used for the tobacco industry.
Yeah.
And repurpose it for the supplement world.
To make the pouches.
To put powder in a pouch. And there's a myriad of
That's all right.
challenges that come along with that. But we're the first ones to do it. And
First and only.
where you may have heard about us, if you could do me a favor and scroll forward 3 or 4 little slides there.
By the way, Jack 3D had DMAA in it.
That's
with
it.
His
Yeah.
That sounded methy.
pretty insane.
Yeah, it's outlawed in all fights. Not all fights. USADA, they can't take it. It's a PED. I don't know what it is exactly, but I know it was not great for you.
Huh. Well, this is where a lot of people have found us through. These are the videos that I make.
Yeah.
That is the character that I was talking about before we started rolling, Wojak. He is a character that was invented on a chat room called 4chan.
Oh, yeah.
And
Is that where it was invented from?
that's to my best knowledge.
I've never been there, and you can't prove it.
Definitely not. Well,
That was during the era of like the internet, right? Like
Yep.
yeah.
so he always rhythmed my tism in just the right way. He always made me laugh a lot. So I started putting him in a lot of our ads. And what I like about him a lot is his jaded bitterness is supposed to be a blank slate that represents all of us.
Yeah.
Like this is the video I did for cops, right?
Yeah.
So because Wojak is sad and jaded, I think there are a lot of police officers who are sometimes sad and jaded as well. And he is a good centerpiece for what we're trying to do. And like that's what I was kind of talking about. I think there are a lot of military companies out there. Like there's 1,001 BroVet companies that are trying to BroVet harder than everyone else.
Yeah.
I put it this way. We are not a military company. We are a lower enlisted company. Okay. And there's a big difference there. Like we want to tap into the people who are showing up to work a little hungover and live off of monsters and tornadoes and maybe have fucked too many fat girls in their time at the bar off base.
Okay.
Like there's not a lot of companies that are speaking to those people. And that's a big part of any military branch.
I like the idea that you're saying this someday in front of Shark Tank. Like this is your pitch to Shark.
No, the marketing strategy is memes. Like it's me using every neuron in my smooth brain to shit post as hard as humanly possible.
I can't think of another company who's doing that.
No. So
Not
we,
Not
top of my head.
successfully.
we were the first ones that I know of to.
There's like ultra right companies who do stuff and they're not funny, and it's like older dudes being like, ultra right underwear, it's red, and they're like, it's crazy.
No.
But nothing like this, nothing to the scale what you've done. I mean, you've built like a whole like canon universe, like it's its own entity.
No. I will say
All
this.
because you were like, I don't like walking over here to get water. Like it's
This came about, and this is the God's honest truth. Like it just goes to show, like sometimes, because we're not successful yet. Like I'm really working on changing that. But sometimes it's really not getting good. It's just like being around after the 1,000th rep. I think a lot of people like quit early.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dude, I made 1,000 TikToks that did 200 likes and 200 views and like just went fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
And then I put Wojak in a maintainer video, and all of a sudden it went pretty viral.
Yeah.
So I have just doubled down on that over and over again. But
Well, that's a recipe for life. Your
That's it.
metric for success changes, and people, I honestly can't think of anything worse that could happen than if all of a sudden I were to have 1 million followers.
Right.
Like I wouldn't even know what got it there, right? Like any of the things.
Correct.
Or like 10 million
Right.
views. I don't understand any of that stuff. I've had videos do well. I don't get it. But like it's also like, how do you recreate that? It's it's too much at once. What if you can't scale? What if that's all they want? That's the scariest thing. What if all they want is one single thing and you're like, how can I do this forever?
So we had that. Through making some of these videos, I had flashes in the pan, right? Some dude will make a reaction video to a piece of our content.
Yeah.
Or I'll have a couple hot girls talk about how awesome Stiff Lip Sup is. And maybe it goes somewhere one time. But to your point, none of that is scalable.
No, it's not.
All of that is luck, and all of that takes like actresses and sets. It was just the 927th video that seemed to perform well. But if I had quit at like 600, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So
you are successful though. You said like you're not successful, but you are successful.
I'm closer to success than I ever have
It'll
been.
change. Like, right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like I remember when I was like, I need 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
And the only reason I needed it was so I could put links and stuff.
Correct.
And companies were like, we want you to do links. And I was like, okay.
You're a real Instagram page now.
Yeah. Like that was like a goal. And to get there was like climbing the craziest hill.
Yeah.
And then when I got there, like in everything else in life, I swear I like got 15,000 in a month, but it took like a year it took multiple months, not even that, a few weeks. It took multiple months just to get to 10,000.
Sure.
And I was just like, what? How does that work?
I have a question as a big fan. I'm going to nerd out for a second.
Okay, yeah.
How did this happen? Because this is the coolest thing in the fucking world. So I saw you on my news feed a lot holding like, who is this guy holding the fucking sign above his head?
How'd it happen?
With shit written on it.
Well, first off, not enough hugs growing up. That was definitely number one. I mean, I've always liked the creative.
Okay.
I've always had stuff I'd like to do. I've written for multiple different news outlets before. USA Today, not USA Today, the Tennessean. They fall under USA Today.
Can I pause for a second? Yeah. When is it like? Have you gotten out of the Marine Corps?
When I got out of the Marine Corps, I started doing creative writing because a good friend of mine works in the New York Times.
Okay.
And he had told me to start writing, and so I just started writing, and I got published in the Huffington Post, Fox, the Tennessean, and then a few in the Times as well. And so when
what are you writing?
It's just whatever, honestly, like op-eds about military service or like mental health or different things that I felt like I wanted to say at the time. There was a book that came out. It was my most successful story. This book came out. It was a Choose Your Own Adventure book. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
So what it said was you're like a Marine sniper, and do you turn left and engage? You're a Marine.
Turn to page 27.
Yeah, to engage enemy sniper, which is 2 military-age males, or do you turn right and escape them? And I was like, okay, well, if you turn left, you end up killing 2 kids because this is a children's book, by the way.
Right.
This is a children's book my children checked out from the library.
Okay.
And you commit a war crime. And it says, go report to your platoon commander. And the other one, you don't shoot the 2 kids. That's not the test for a sniper. If there's a sniper in the area, you're like on patrol, someone drops, you go, oh my God, there's a sniper in the area.
Sure.
So I wrote about that. It got a lot of coverage. They ended up pulling their whole line, making a full apology and everything else.
Okay.
And so that actually taught me the ability of speaking truth to power. But I was really bored in the pandemic, and I saw people like making memes, and I saw like, sign stuff and like other things. And I was just like kind of floored by this idea of like, at that time, the stuff I was doing in healthcare, I had healthcare as an industry is significantly older and boomer heavy. So like I showed up with like Google Docs, tattoos, and like ideas about technology. Yeah. They didn't know what to do with me. But I was using infographics to like promote different companies and stuff for one of the jobs I had. And they're like, what is an infographic? And I was like, well, I just learned this in business school. Your brain processes information faster, retain. There's all these things about why it's a better way to like put out information.
Okay.
Right. And, I had sales and things that also supported that. They were like sending out like one pagers was a bunch of words. And I'm like sending out like graphs and like charts and pictures. And they're like, what's this about? And so I was thinking that same idea of content. Like, what if I could it's a meme, but what if I could make like an infographic meme, right? So like, what if I could make a message that's easy to replicate, not easy to replicate, or a format that's easy to replicate, and then change my message along the way, right? And so that was really where the idea came from.
Okay. Scalable.
Yeah, because like content's it's like potato chips. You eat one, you got to eat 100. And so you have to always be making stuff, and you have to think about, stuff that's evergreen, stuff that you can reuse. Like holidays are fine. You can do the same thing you did for Christmas last year. I've got 4 of them planned right now. Mm-hmm. But like, I can't always tell you to, get counseling or to get help, because if I do the same thing over and over again, they will just shut it down. Yeah. And so I started with the images, and then, over time it picked up, and then I started doing like reactionary videos. I was one of, I don't say it was, I feel like I am, but I'm probably not. I was like doing that in a sense of like, not making it for a military audience, but a non-military audience.
Right.
Because like, it'd be something like, I had a video where there's a soldier walking to an unknown soldier. And so I'm going to explain to people who don't know what that is or what's happening there, why he's doing that and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because I realized that comments were, the reaction videos I was doing, or these explaining videos, were basically just ways I would use to trigger nostalgia or like community group thing, or people talk about stuff like, I did this, I did that, I know him, I know her. And then that would be like a way to create conversation. And then I just slowly started evolving into like, well, I'm going to start covering stuff, and like, we'll see what's happening. And then that's when things got hectic.
Okay.
Most recently, this past year has been very, very hectic.
When did the sign start?
The sign started in March of 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be 5 years this March. It's crazy. I think about it all the time. I'm so scared. Have you heard of this shaky lamp thing?
No.
There's like a Reddit thread about a guy.
Oh, I do know this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Have you heard about shaky lamp? There's this guy. He's like in his mid-30s or something. He's talking to his wife, and every time he talks to his wife, he notices in their house there's a lamp that shakes. Not a lot, but it shakes a little bit.
Enough.
And then one day he just really starts to focus on it. And when he focuses on the lamp, the more it starts to shake and vibrate.
Right.
And then he looks up, and someone's holding a light over his eyes. He had a concussion, and he lived a life like 20 years ahead. He was like in a fight or something.
Sure.
And hit the back of his head, and he had to get PTSD treatment because he had to mourn the loss of his children, his wife, and everything. He like lived that far ahead. And I'm scared every day that
someone's going to.
And I'm going to be back in a boardroom talking about infographics to boomers.
Yep.
And I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Sure.
So, it's just a thing of like, now the podcast, as I see it, is like a natural explanation of expansion of the Veteran with the Sign universe, because like I can talk about this, we can do posts, but there's not really enough room creatively or enough stuff to really like go over the things that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
But this allows like people to know about you, the company, your experience, what drove you. Like those are things that need to be highlighted more. There's enough war stories to cover everything. Like and I'm not against that. It's just like, our community sucks so bad sometimes. And like, I like to think what I do and what we do here is kind of the antidote to that of like, just, be proud of what you did, but also what are you doing moving forward? Mm-hmm. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Dude, I made a conscious choice to memify this a little while ago instead of just turning it into a BroVet military company.
Yeah.
Because like I knew if I try to compete, and like, by the way, the people I'm about to name off are my heroes in a lot of ways. Like they are dudes who are better than me and have done things that I haven't. Who? But if I try to compete with David Goggins and out David Goggins him, he's doing a 100-mile marathon right now, screaming, "You don't know me, son," at the top of his lungs in the mountains. Like I'm not going to beat that guy. He's been doing that longer than I've been alive, right?
Allegedly.
So
yeah.
I need to do something different and expand the left and right bearing of what a military influencer, I hate to use that term, but a military company with something to say, talks about. And like I said, like I think there are a lot of companies who lean into the cool guy, tough guy aesthetic, which is awesome, and we need more of it. But in my humble opinion, there aren't enough companies that are talking about like the lower enlisted degeneracy and the tornadoes eaten and the white monsters consumed and the like I'm at dental aspect of being in the military.
Yeah.
And we're trying to fill that void with this.
I think you're doing it. I think you're knocking it out of the park.
PFC Wojak helps a lot.
Yeah, he does. It is genius. Any safe rounds or alibis over there?
I would just say like, what's your overall vision for the company? Like, where would you love to see this? Like, in a perfect world, at the height of your success, what does that look like?
The mission of this company, I appreciate you asking that. If I can get serious for a moment, it's to caffeinate as many hardworking Americans as possible. And we take that mission very, very seriously. And that is not a marketing slogan. That is not something that was come up with in a boardroom. That speaks to dudes that are in patrol cars that have the whole world like beating down on them, unfortunately. It speaks to like electricians and plumbers who are fixing their 9th toilet of the day because they have to like, they have kids and they have overtime, like hours that they have to work and bills that they have to pay for. And it speaks to the dudes that are standing in formation for shit they didn't do. And those people view caffeine not as a luxury, but as a requirement. And we have the honor of caffeinating those people. So when we say like it is our honor to caffeinate hardworking Americans and to caffeinate as many hardworking Americans as possible, there's a lot of Americans in this country that need this. And that means I have a lot more work in front of me. And we need to get a whole lot bigger and grow a whole lot faster to help those people kick ass in the gym and in life. And that's what we're about.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. StiffLipSupps.com. Go there for all your caffeinated needs. Dirty hands, clean work. That's what I'm talking about.
Damn
John,
straight.
This has been incredible. You've been a joy.
Yeah.
I love this. I mean, still got flavor. Still got flavor.
Yeah.
Got to check them out. Blueberry, cherry popper, and fruity flex. Thank you for joining us on this incredible episode of the After Action Podcast. We'll catch you on the next one.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, dude.
Thank you.